Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this world. Welcome to another fabulous session with Sangeet Foundation. Hi, I'm Jayanta Ray, co-founder of Sangeet Foundation. And today we have this fabulous program, No Strings Attached, a Baithaki with Jonathan Meyer, a fabulous program on sitar. So, as you know, Sangeet Foundation is all about creating awareness about mental health with music and the arts. And we believe in happiness through music and the arts. So today's session is about happiness through sitar playing with a fabulous sitar player. But wait, today we have a host who himself is a sitar master as well. And so today we are being hosted by Avi Sengupta. Avi Sengupta, an IT director working for the British government, HMRC, by profession, is passionate about playing the sitar, North Indian classical music, and loves to do music pieces of Western, Bollywood, and pop music on the instrument. He has received training in India in the Benares and the Maihar Gharanas of sitar playing. So, with that, I would like to invite Avi Sengupta on board. So, Avi, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, Jayanta. Thank you for giving such an introduction, which I probably do not deserve. Uh, and I'm really proud and I'm really happy to be hosting this very unique and probably a very different kind of show today. And as you say, music is probably the food for the soul, as Shakespeare once had said. So, and I'm really happy to be here, really proud to be here, to be hosting this show for Sangeet Foundation and all of our audiences. And regarding Jonathan, what do I say? So Jonathan is a very highly acclaimed sitar player, and he's a composer from the Senia veen-kar Gharana, one of the many gharanas of Indian classical music playing in the North Indian classical tradition. He has his roots, believe it or not, from Kolkata in India, under the tutelage of late Pandit Subroto Chowdhury. He is also the son of the late composer, Mr. John Mayer. And Jonathan has, in his repertoire, he has performed in a number of concerts across the world, in Russia, in India, in the US, and all over the world. And he's a very avid performer and a very regular in the London Philharmonic Orchestra, the BBC concert orchestras, and he does a lot of fusion programs, and he composes quite a few Eastern and Western fusion classical shows as well. So without much further ado, we would like to start the program, and Jayanto, I would like to request you to please bring Jonathan.
Hello, Avi.
Hi, Jonathan. How are you? Good to see you.
Yes, I'm very well, thank you. Very well. Thank you for that intro. I can't believe I've done all that.
That's absolutely amazing. And look at your background. Look at your setup. It's amazing. It's brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you know what? I love the instrument which is next to you. So just to kick off, so tell all the audience a bit about yourself, a bit about your craft, and why the sitar.
So my name is extremely Western, Jonathan Mayer. But my family, so my mother's side was English, going back centuries. My father was born in Kolkata, from Anglo-Indian Bengali father and Tamil mother. So my grandmother was from a village called Punamali, which is just north of Madras.
Okay.
So so I have Indian heritage on my dad's side, which goes back to the 1700s. We traced it all back. Came over from, we don't know where they came over from, and they settled in India. We used to have lots of money 300 years ago, And then as the years went by, we just lost it all. So by the time it came to my great grandfather, he worked in the Howrah docks. And my grandfather was a foreman on the docks. And so by the time my dad came about, they didn't have that much money. And it was a bit of a struggle. But, he started learning the violin in Kolkata. He learned in the Kolkata School of Music. But he had to go in the evening and learn for free because he didn't have the money to pay for the lessons. From my dad's side, there was a musical influence. So he started music, started learning music. My mum's side, she was a musician. My grandfather taught me the violin. So I had musical training from an early age. And although my dad was born in Kolkata, he did learn a bit of Indian music, but mainly he learned Western classical. He was a violinist. So when I came about, I was born to two musical parents, two professional musicians. So I didn't really have a choice on playing an instrument. And at the age of 5, I was violin and piano, which was brilliant. So that gave me my grounding in Western music. But my dad, because he was Indian, although he studied Western music, he was also a composer. And he incorporated Indian music within his composition. So I was brought up with the sound of the sitar, tabla, and for me it just felt natural to try it. So by the age of 15, 16, which is quite late, I decided, I wanted to learn the sitar. So we had some family friends come over, the Marjus come over from Kolkata, and I said, oh, could you pick me up a sitar, please? And you can probably just see the bottom of my first sitar here,
Brilliant.
From all those years back. And I just started, and I first learned from Clem Alford, a sitarist based in London, fantastic sitarist. Then from Vajad Khan, and then, as you mentioned, Subroto Chowdhury in Kolkata for most of my training.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that. And also, as I've been following you, and you do a lot of fusion music as well. So you fuse the Indian classical sitar with some of the Western pieces as well.
Yeah.
And so tell us a bit about that how does that come together? Because I think the two forms of music are probably a bit separated, but how does it come together? We would like to learn from you.
Okay, so no, you're right. They are somewhat separated. But I like to think of music as a language. And all music is from the same language, but we all have different accents. And so when you're playing Indian music, I don't want to say have an Indian accent, but you know what I mean? You have to put on a different accent.
Absolutely.
The notes are still there,
Yeah.
but the phrasing is very different.
Yeah,
And the concept of not having harmony in Indian music is very different from having harmony in Western music. But fundamentally, it's the same thing. You can look at it as the same subject. And for me, it felt very, very natural to try and fuse the two. Because my mum's English, my dad's Indian. So it's almost like my identity. And so I felt it felt as if, it just felt natural that I'd fused the two. And I was brought up, I learned Western classical music, I studied composition, and also learned the sitar. So I can't just say, right, Western music's there, Indian music's there, and never shall they meet. So it just felt natural to bring the two together.
That's very enlightening, Jonathan. And of course, you have mastered the North Indian classical music. So again, because Sangeet Foundation, we talk about and we deal with mental health issues. Yeah. So in your opinion, how does North Indian classical music help alleviate some of these problems? We would like to know your view.
So let me talk as a performer, first of all. The beauty of North Indian classical music is you're taken on a journey. So for me, when I start playing a rag, I have to think about the journey I'm taking the audience on. And each rag has its own rasa or mood. So I have to portray this mood. So it's a form of storytelling. And storytelling and music is a form of escapism. And the best form of escapism, I think, is Hindustani classical music, North Indian music. because of that, because of the mood it creates. And it's that escapism which can be so healing for mental health. You just come out of whatever is in, you go within yourself, a form of meditation, in a sense. And that's why meditation is so beneficial. It's just about realigning yourself, recentering yourself, and thinking about yourself and concentrating on that. And in a sense, North Indian classical music can do that. It can take you far away. You close your eyes, you have a listen, and the calmingness of the drone as well. So I just think that it's the most calming and probably most beneficial music for mental health. I think there was a study where they had these plants and they had these little speakers and they played different types of music to them. They played heavy metal to one plant and Mozart to the other. And I think they did play Indian classical to the other. And it was the Indian classical which the plant thrived the most on.
Wow, that's really a revelation, and I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, when I try to play whatever I can play, it transcends myself to another dimension, and I'm absolutely with you. Yeah. So we'll talk a bit more about your personal experiences and mental health a bit later on in the show. But without much further ado, may I please request you to play a very favorite Ravindra Sangeet of mine, which I heard you playing. Esho Shamalo Shundaro. It's based on Rag Desh, so would really love you to play for our audience, please. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks.
Kya baat, kya baat.
Thank you.
Jonathan. That was absolutely mesmerizing. That was absolutely mesmerizing. The rag Desh. That's such an earthy feel to it. That's why it's called Desh. It's your
Indeed,
country.
yeah, it is.
Yeah. It really makes you feel in touch with your motherland. I guess it's so amazing. No, I'm really glad you played that for us. No, absolutely brilliant. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Right. So let's move on to the topic that we said to the audience that will come back. So as we've been discussing, so I've learned that because mental health is such a key and critical issue in today's world, typically, people tend to ignore it, or there's a taboo, especially in various cultures where people don't talk about it. It's ignored, and you kind of bottle it up or you shove it under the carpet, which is never healthy for any individual. And as I learned that you in your own life have gone through some personal mental health issues as well.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind, if you could share how you dealt with some of the issues, and how did especially the music that you do, the art that you do, the craft that you do, how did it help to address those issues yourself, please?
So I think my mental health issues came out in panic attacks. So I used to suffer with panic attacks. I think it was a combination of things. I just graduated from university, and I was through a period of my life where I wasn't too sure what direction I was going to go in musically, number one. And number two, I was coming to that point, that realization that this is crazy, crazy thought, but that nobody lives forever. And that, so I had this impending doom that, it could end at any time. And I really struggled for quite a few years to control the panic attacks, which I thought was created from this thought of death, the fear of death. And I soon realized that it was the music that was creating my mental health, in a sense, because at those times I didn't have the right direction that you needed for playing Indian classical music. I was a bit slightly gung-ho for the wrong reasons. And then when I started to go into more depth into rag, and I found a way of controlling my fears of stage fear. Stage fright was another big thing. I mean, panic attacks, stage fright. Anyone, if you got, if you could go on stage, if you've got to go and speak in front of hundreds of people, there's that, you're going to mess up, and I really struggled with that. And it was a mixture of the panic attacks caused by this, the thought that I'm going to let everyone down, and there's a pending doom that I'm going to die at any time. But it all seemed to come down to the fact that I thought it was the music. So I thought that what all of this was causing was the sitar. But then I realized, as I got further into the sitar and further into playing rag and really enjoying it, because when I first started playing, I didn't particularly enjoy it as much. I still did it, persevered, because I didn't have the knowledge that I thought I had, and I had to really study hard. And then I came to a point where I really enjoyed playing, and I really loved playing. And then I realized, well, wait a sec, I'm not trying to please everyone. I can't please everyone in the world. I've got friends who live around the corner from me. Oh, sitar, I don't like sitar. You can't please absolutely everyone. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to do my music for myself. It's my music. It's for something I love. And please come and listen to it. But, I got so many knockbacks early on in the career, but now I just think, well, hey, look, I love my music and I play for my music. And so that alleviated some of the stage fright I had, because I go on stage and say, well, hey, you're coming to listen to me, but I'm going to make a mistake. I'm not a robot. And in the sense that sort of relaxation got rid of the fear of dying, because, well, everyone's going to die, at some point. So I might as well just relax and enjoy myself while I'm here. And the music and the playing of the sitar and playing on stage was the balm, was the healer in the end. And I just never knew that for quite a while. And then, yeah, gradually, I look back at it now, there was never like, woke up one morning, that's it, I'm fine, but still sometimes have slight bits of panic attacks, but I know what it's all about now, and just being able to control it. I didn't get any help from anyone. I mean, I was quite lucky that I managed to find my own path to to heal myself, as a sense, and I found that it was the music that did that for me.
That's absolutely brilliant, Jonathan, and I'm really glad that you persevered, and that's why we can hear such great music.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Today. And no, absolutely, and you're right, and it's really fascinating to hear that. What you sometimes think that it's the art that you're trying to do is actually the source of your stress, but as you persevere, as you battle through it, and you go through the motions, I guess that's when it starts to give you that liberation, I think.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, that's a really good point, Avi. And I think also, I mean, I'm careful when I teach. I give so much praise to anyone I teach, even if they're just starting out. You pick out the good things, because some teachers are very strict, as we know,
Yes.
and they'll pick out the bad points, points. And early on in the career, I'd be on stage with people. They'll say, "No, you did that wrong. You did that wrong." Never. Oh, well done. That sounded really good there. No encouragement, and there's no sort of, oh, why don't you try doing this? Will help you. It was sort of like, vodka up something, and that was it. And so I think that there's something we could do in the musical community, and just support each other and support everyone else, because in the end of the day, I would say, when we're playing music, it's not like brain surgery. Nobody's going to die. Music should be a giving experience and a loving experience. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think what you referred to there was a very old-fashioned, old-school method of learning from your guru, because Indian classical music, as you know, it's you learn from your guru. I mean, the applications are there, but the intricacies, the fine techniques, you cannot just do without from your guru. So I'm really glad that when you teach your students, you're changing and tweaking that approach, because it's a difficult instrument to play. Yeah, it is not easy. Yeah. So when a new student comes on, it's absolutely important for teachers like yourselves to ease them into that learning.
Yeah. Yes, I completely agree. Yeah. It should be fun. Music
should be fun.
Yeah.
Right. Let's move on to the next part of our program. I would like to request you to play the first recital, please. I think you're going to play Rag Bhupali for us.
I'll do Rag Bhupali. Give me about 30 seconds to reach in.
That's all right. Absolutely fine.
Okay, Rag Bhupali. I love this rag because it's so simple.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's the power of the dha.
Yes.
The note dha, which makes it even more peaceful and beautiful.
Yes.
Rag Bhupali.
क्या बात है, क्या बात है। Thank you. Thank you so much. I was, my eyes were closed during the entire performance. I was, you transcended me into that special dimension, as we musicians call it. Absolutely mesmerizing. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Absolutely beautiful. I'm sure the audiences enjoyed that performance as well. So now I just wanted to discuss a bit about the instrument itself. And because you have this fascinating background of, learning both a violin and a sitar and probably a bunch of other instruments as well. So maybe tell the audience, or tell us about, what do you think the key fundamental differences are in terms of the techniques of, let's say, if you're playing, when you're playing the sitar and when you're playing the violin or another Western instruments, what do you think a student, and if we have to, spread the message, not only within the UK, but across the world, in India and in other countries as well, how do we encourage the newer generation of students to pick up the instrument a bit more than what they probably are? What would be your advice?
Well, the first point was the differences between the instruments. I think the main difference between the two musics is the phrasing. I mentioned that before.
Yeah.
And that's what you sort of have to get used to. And get used to the fact that every Indian instrument is supposed to imitate the voice.
Yeah.
So Indian classical music is vocal tradition.
Yeah.
And the sarangi is able to glide between the notes. The sitar I'm able to glide between the notes. Bansuri, sorod, all of them. The only one is a harmonium.
Yeah.
But that's French, so there we go. So that aside. So with the whole idea is to be able to imitate the voice. So starting out, I think the trouble is with Indian instruments is they're very daunting to look at as well.
Yes.
I mean, they're very beautiful as well. The carving doesn't make a nice instrument.
No, it doesn't. The
nicest carving in the world, and your frets could be out of line and everything.
Yes.
Unplayable. But from a Westerner to look at it, they'll look at it. Oh God, how do you play this? But I tried to buy a guitar. I bought a guitar to try and learn it about 10 years ago. I couldn't get my head around it. not enough strings.
No, I know. Yeah.
But I can play the piano. I haven't played the violin in a long time because, Avi, you will know that when we play the sitar, you get your calluses and your grooves. That's another point which I'll come on to.
Absolutely, yes.
And those grooves go this way. Now, when you play the violin, you're here. So the calluses would slip. And so when I'm trying to do my vibrato, it's going all over the place. Sounding like a wailing cat. So I had to make a decision between sitar and the cat. I mean, the violin. So that's another point. We talk about these grooves.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but somebody decided that when you learn to play an Indian instrument, we're going to make it very painful for you. So we have this mihrab that goes in your finger like that. And I always say, when I do the school workshops, I say, here we are. I've got this called the mihrab or plectrum. It goes in my finger like this, and I'll be talking, and then very soon you see my finger go purple.
It hurts.
That's off the blood supply, and I say the strings is like a cheese knife.
Yes.
So when you first start out, it can be a bit painful on the fingers. Sarangi's even worse. Okay, the one side's bow, the other side they have to play in the cuticles. They slide down, God, the pain. Anyway, so I think that can be quite daunting, for somebody who's starting out. So we try to get, I'll tune the sitar down to a lower pitch, so the strings are looser, makes it easier upon them. But generally speaking as well, with sitar, I would say you can get small sitars, babysitters. But you can get these smaller sitars, which are easier to hold. But a full length sitar, if you're quite young, you're not going to be able to reach the top.
No, you won't. Your hands won't reach.
Yeah. So, I mean, I generally teach 10 or 11 plus years of age, and if they want to learn, the best thing is vocals. It doesn't hurt to sing.
I know. You know what they say, no pain, no gain.
I know. It's just one of those things.
No, you're right. So,
I
so what
struggled
do
at
you?
the beginning, but I went into quite easy, 10 minutes a day, but and then 10 years later,
Yeah,
5 hours a day, 6 hours
yeah,
a day
yeah,
practice, rehearse. But yeah, easy way in.
yeah. So what do you reckon the right age is? Because if I remember correctly, I think I started off learning when I was 8. Do you think that was too early, or do you think that's about the right time, or
I
what
think
do you
it's probably
what do you
about the
recommend?
right time. It depends on the individual child, I guess, doesn't it, as well?
Yeah.
But yeah, and I guess you had a small sitar then.
Yes. Yeah. A
Problem
baby
is,
one,
a
as
lot
you
of the
said.
small sitars I see, they're so bad. They're so
No.
badly
Yeah.
made. It's difficult. And playing on a bad instrument is difficult
Yes.
because the tension might be not right, the bridge position might not be right.
Yeah.
You can't the means because of the frets all out of line.
Mm,
It becomes
mm,
more difficult to play. A good instrument in anything,
yeah.
a good piano is easier to play than a bad piano.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
same with that. So yeah, that's a difficult question to answer. What's a good age to start?
I mean, the reason why I'm asking, because I'm sure there's a lot of parents who are watching this show and probably getting inspired by your performance and wanted to teach their children as well. So
Or if
they'll
they
be
come to
asking this.
me, they can start 6 months. 6 months, yeah.
Absolutely. We'll direct them all your way.
Yeah, no, I think eight is probably good. And once again, it depends on the
Yeah.
size. I was always quite small. I
Yeah.
think I would have struggled earlier on.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we are.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So obviously, we are in a very weird situation. The entire world is in a weird situation with a pandemic, and performers like yourselves, you enjoy performing live, or you go around the world touring different countries and performing in different places. So maybe tell us about how was it different from you? How has it been different for you in terms of doing performances on Zoom like this, or StreamYard, and a load of other digital media that's out there? What's the difference? Do you sometimes, like, as a performer, I think, do you sometimes feel a bit lonely performing in front of digital media where you don't get that feedback from your audience, which is very important, I think,
Yeah,
for a
no, that's a
performer?
very good point, Avi. That I feed off the audience, so
Yeah.
I will whatever the audience is doing, I'll adapt and change to them. Although I said earlier on that it's my music and I play to myself, but also, I can't just close my eyes and do Alak
No.
for like an hour and a half
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
everyone would have gone home. So
Yeah.
yeah, we have to.
I'm sure they won't.
But but also you can feel their energy,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that energy you feed off it, and
Yes.
that springboards you into doing another idea or doing something else,
Yeah.
and you miss that.
Yeah.
You miss that.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of is it lonely? Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah,
Hmm.
and I'm here in my studio. Nobody else here. You can't see the other side. There's loads of boxes on the other side of the camera.
Exactly. Exactly.
And it's a bit like doing. I mean, I've done quite a bit of TV work as well and stuff. It's TV is not TV and film is not very glamorous. You do
Yeah.
take after take of the same scene, and
Yeah.
that's why a lot of actors like to go on stage and theatre because
Yeah.
that's where they feel that energy. So, yeah, it's been different. I mean, the thing is, I do a lot of composition as well. So I've had some Arts Council funding for doing writing a commission to write some pieces. So that's good because that keeps me busy when I haven't been able to perform.
Yeah. Okay. And before we go to your next performance, and because I'm a Kolkata boy, and you've been learning and spent a lot of time in Kolkata as well, so just wanted to know a bit about your experience in Kolkata as well. How did you find it? What was unique about the place?
So I've been to India loads of times.
Yeah.
But I always go to Kolkata. I mean, I've been to Delhi. My uncle used to live in Delhi. He used to be the principal of the Frank Anthony School there.
Okay.
So I went to see him. And my auntie used to live in Dehradun. She's gone now. She lives in Canada. So I've got no
Oh, wow.
family in India. But I always go to Kolkata. I think it's the best place for sitars to buy a sitar.
Yeah.
Number
Yeah.
one. Number two, it's just so good for music. Even if my father wasn't born now, I had no connections. I would always go there anyway because it's great for music, and there's a real sense of sharing there.
Yes.
You know, you go to people's houses, all these sitarists sit together. Hey, check this
Yes.
out. You know,
Yeah.
none of that sort of look at me sort of thing. It's just like, it
No.
was really, I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I love the city. I like to look at my family history as well. So whenever I go to Kolkata, I always visit the old cemeteries. I think there's the old one on Park Street.
Park
Where,
Street. Yeah. I
yeah,
was about to
so if
say,
you
yeah.
go in, it's just about gone now, but it was Rita Mayer on the
Yeah.
outside, died in
Oh, wow. That's
1773.
so fascinating.
Yeah, and then
Wow.
there's a few others. But there used to be the old cemetery across the road, which is the old Mission Cemetery, which is not
Right.
now, they bulldozed it. But
Right.
most of my family was buried there. So I like to go back and, you know, wander
Yeah.
around the graveyards finding mayors. That's a bit very morbid, isn't it?
No. No, that's great. And I'm really glad you said that. I believe, and this is me just quoting, I think, Pandit Birju Maharaj. I think he once said that, where does he find the most satisfaction in giving a performance? And in front of probably I'm biased, is probably in front of a Kolkata crowd, because the audience knows where to say wah or kya baat at the right instant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. So without much further ado, I would please request you to give our second recital, please. I think you're playing Rag Aheri.
Ahiri, yes. Give me a second to retune on this, and
Absolutely. Take your time.
I'm not checking my messages on my phone. I do have a Tempura app on here, so you'll put that on. So I got a reference for tuning.
Sure. No worries. Kya baat hai, kya baat hai.
Thank you.
I'm a big fan of Jhala, and I just loved your performance. And you're a master of mees and gamaks. I mean, I want to learn from you now. You know what? I wish I had a few more hours with you, but unfortunately, our time is limited.
Indeed.
And it was been a pleasure. It's been an absolute honor for me to host you, and I'm really glad that you played for us, for Sangeet Foundation and all the audience. Enthralled us. We learned a lot from you, and with that, I think I would like to wish all of our audience a very Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year. I hope 2021 is much more positive than what 2020 has been. And I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart to play for us and perform for us. And with that, I would like to bring back Jayanta to come and conclude the show, please. Thank you.
That was one wonderful performance, Jonathan. I mean, it was absolutely mesmerizing. And like what Avi said, I I had my eyes closed, so I had to make sure that I opened my eyes at the right moment to let Avi in. Otherwise, it could have been a disaster. But thank you so much for that. That was really wonderful.
Pleasure.
And and I was wondering, while you were performing, in while performing, you were tuning the instrument as well.
Yeah, it just keeps it going out. It's the weather in Great Britain, isn't it? The UK weather. If the humidity goes like this, and so my sitar goes like this, is
Yes, yes, it does indeed.
We have to come over these problems.
So, and the question, the point is that while performing, the way you adjust the whole thing so that it sounds like it's part of the performance, rather than there's a break, and that's
an art. That is an art.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you. I just get a bit of fine tune. Hey, listen, before we do go, I'd like to thank Sangeet Foundation for all the work it does in raising the awareness of mental health. It's a fantastic cause. So well done, Jayanta.
Thank you so much for that, Jonathan, and thank you so much for being part of the journey, because we talk about mental health, and there are people who do talk about mental health, but the point is that when it comes from the professionals, the people who use music for this purpose, and the experts, the gurus, it makes a lot of difference, a lot of impression on the people to say, yes, it does make a difference. Listen from the people, understand and learn, right? And so probably it'll inspire people to learn the sitar as well. I find it very daunting. I play the guitar a little bit, but really, and I wonder how people, run their fingers through it. I would assume that the strings would run through my fingers, actually.
Well, they sort of do anyway. But yeah.
So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
And Avi, thank you so much for hosting this. So
thank you, Avi. Thank you.
A pleasure to have one sitarist with the other, and it's an absolute gift to Sangeet Foundation. So thank you so much for that. It's been an absolute pleasure, and thank you to the audience today for listening in. And do put in your comments, and do tune in to Sangeet Foundation. This is the last program for the year, and before we gather for some fabulous programs in the new year, starting on the 6th of January, do look out for these programs. And with that, wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and a great break. So thank you so much for that. Bye for now, and good night.
Thank you.